I am getting out of here. Oh God, what even is that thing? Oh, no, please! Hello, I am Full Metal Llama, and this is Elden Ring. Oh God, I'm not going to be able to speak over this orchestra. Give me just 1 second. There we go. Alright, so, full disclosure, I've already beaten this game, but back when I beat it the first time, I think about half the quests hadn't been finished, so I'm really looking forward to being able to complete some of those. That being said, the main reason I'm making this new character and I'm starting this new journey is because me and every other masochist on the planet is super excited for the DLC that should be dropping in a few days. A week, somewhere in there. Now, the original plan was to make a llama man, but since I can't change the neck on the character, it would only come out as a sheep person. And the first sheep person to pop in my head was Mary from One Piece. He's the happy butler that gave the crew their first ship. Now, I'm gonna try to do my best as far as this goes, but if there's one thing I particularly suck at, it's character creators. I'm gonna do my best not to make this guy a horrible monster. If he even vaguely resembles a sheep person or an old man, I'll count it as a win. I don't want to spend too long doing this, because unfortunately, my computer can only handle episodes being so long. But we're going to see what we can do. Now, to be perfectly honest, there was another reason why I chose Mary. 2 reasons, actually. Number 1, he was just sitting down at the bottom of a well, and I figured he could use some company. I mean, out of all the characters they could have killed this season, why did it have to be Mary? But the second reason is I have been looking for an excuse to rant about the live action for a good little while to anyone who will listen. So if you feel like listening, stick around. If you don't want spoilers for Season 2 or potentially what they're going to have in Season 2, go ahead and skip to Episode 1, where we just dive right into Elden Ring. But for now, I'm going to rant just a little bit. There we go. We want pure white hair and some kind of low afro if they got it. I think 14. Let me look around. Yeah, 14 I think is the best we're going to be able to get. But before I get into this One Piece rant, I should probably explain exactly how long I've been with the series. Now, I have been watching this anime on and off since it was on 4Kids Media, and the I can't speak. The theme song went, yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum. Not Nika Nika, gum gum. So things have changed. I understand I am a fossil. I accept this. I also accept, since in all this time I've never gone to the manga, that my opinion may not be worth much. But I do have at least somewhat of an excuse why I never went to the manga.
You showed me. I saw you teaching her how to read. You never taught me how to read, which is why I still don't know how to read.
As you can see, it's not my fault. Oh God, I love that movie. Hang on a second. I think I'm gonna go with the mutton chops. I know it's not exactly lore accurate, but our Mary is gonna be a little bit more grizzled because after all, he did climb out of the well, curb stomp Kuro, and is now after the Elden Ring, so he can gather it all into one piece. Or at least we're gonna try. But where was I? So, One Piece. Before I get into Season 2, I'll talk about Season 1. Season 1, I honestly think they knocked out of the park. I do have a couple of problems with it, but the sets were fantastic. Better than some of the scenes in the actual anime. I liked Windmill Island better. I liked the Baratier better. The casting was incredible. It feels like they pulled most of the characters directly from the pages. And I also really, really liked that they had Garp show up to stop Luffy, because he had been trying to turn Luffy and Ace into Marines. There's no way he wouldn't have shown up to stop him. But the two things I didn't like in Season 1, both come out of the same episode. One is a little bit of a nitpick, and I guess I'll start with that one before I talk about the one I actually have a problem with. So, I did not appreciate them cutting out the "do you bet your life" line that Shanks gives. Now, if anybody doesn't remember the scene, basically, it's the scene where the mountain bandits have Luffy on the ground, and Shanks and his crew come walking in, and they look at the little mountain bandit that draws a gun on him, and Shanks looks the guy in the eye and says, "Do you bet your life?" The mountain bandit gets confused and asks him what he's talking about, and Shanks just repeats himself and says, "Do you bet your life?" Because whenever you pull out a gun, your life had better be in danger, or else it's going to be. And then Lucky Roo shoots this man in the face. The scene in the anime didn't go too much differently, but other than Shanks not saying the line at all, when Lucky Roo shoots, Shanks damn near jumps out of his boots. Where in the anime, and I'm pretty sure the manga as well, Shanks doesn't even flinch. But, like I was saying, it's more of a nitpick than anything else. The scene I actually have a problem with comes when Shanks actually tries to save Luffy from the mountain bandit leader and the sea monster. So, can somebody, anybody, tell me why the rowboat needed to be there? Now, I understand it makes the scene easier to shoot, but it also makes Shanks look like an idiot. Because this is one of the 4 Emperors of the Sea. I know the live action onlys don't understand that, but he is one of the 4 strongest people on the planet. The only reason why he loses the arm is because Luffy is already in the thing's jaws. Shanks had 0 seconds. Not half a second, not a quarter of a second. 0 seconds. And he sure as shit did not have stable ground beneath his feet. Now, in the live action, not only does Shanks have more than a quarter of a second, but he stares at the thing for nearly 2 seconds before he just lets it take his arm like an idiot. And the worst part about this is when he finally scares the thing off using hockey, the live action onlys think it's a devil fruit because he's standing in a boat and not floating in the water like he was in the anime and the manga. I'm gonna take a deep breath, try not to get too upset about it. Especially because, and this should show how much of a sucker I am, even as angry as I got at that scene, the very next one where he puts the hat on Luffy's head got me to tear up. So, they did a fantastic job with the rest of the season. It's just those 2 scenes that I really, really have a problem with. Which brings me to the main point of my rant. I am getting worried about Season 2. Now, I've ran the numbers in my head, and could they get to Alabasta in Season 2? Yes, if they really truncated down a few things, they could fit in Logtown, Laboon, Whiskey Peak, Nonahana, Chopper's Island, and Alabasta. Alabasta, I would put my foot down and say it needs at least 3 episodes to really cook. Chopper is probably going to need 2, just like they did with Usopp. They could combine Nanohana and Whiskey Peak into 1. I will actually riot and walk down to Los Angeles myself, or wherever they happen to be shooting this damn thing. But I will walk down there myself and riot if I do not get to see Laboon. And more importantly, we have Logtown, which is probably going to be split into 2 different episodes, because we have the confrontation with Smoker, and every member of the crew has something that they're doing. Realistically, I know we're going to have to cut out some parts of it, but the things we are really going to need to see as an audience: Zoro needs to meet Tashigi and get his 2 new swords. Luffy and the execution platform is a must. And I know it's filler, but I desperately need to see the Usopp vs. Daddy fight. As far as the live action goes, Usopp hasn't had a whole lot of chances to shine. At least, not as the sniper of the group. It doesn't really need to be the focus or the A-plot of the episode, but it would go a long way to not only establish Usopp as a sniper, but it would show him trying to take steps towards being the great warrior of the sea that is his dream, which he didn't get a whole lot of chances to fight for a dream in Season 1. Now, I will say, the most important part of Logtown, far and away, the scene that they have to nail, the execution scene. You really, really have to have a green mohawk somewhere in the crowd. I don't care if I have to play Where's Waldo. I don't even really need to see Bartolomeo's face, but I do need to see that man's green mohawk somewhere in that crowd. Sorry, just really zoning out trying to get his chin right. But where was I? Oh yeah, Season 2. So, the daddy fight, Bartolomeo's mohawk, and I will honestly sharpen my pitchfork if I don't get to see Laboon. Laboon needs to be both adorable and terrifying all at the same time. Because we need to be afraid of this thing, and we also need to be ready to kill the people who are coming for him. As I said earlier, you could kinda combine Whiskey Peak and Nanohana into 1, but we do need to have Nanohana since we got Usopp's story back in Season 1, and I love that joke that all of the stories that he would tell to Kaya are slowly coming true in the most nightmare ways under his trip with Luffy. Plus, Nami gets sick on Nanohana, which is the whole reason why they end up on Chopper's Island looking for a doctor. Speaking of the adorable little fluff ball, I have seen some horrifying, ugly Sonic-esque versions of Chopper floating around the internet, but I've also seen some completely adorable versions of him that I think would really, really work. So I have the utmost faith that they aren't going to screw up Chopper. And speaking of new characters to be introduced, the one that I'm really nervous about is Ace, because that casting is going to be almost as hard to do as Luffy. You are going to need someone who is not only an unhinged psychopath, but you are going to need someone who instantly clicks with the fan base, because he's not going to get a whole lot of airtime, and this guy needs to effectively feel like the fan's older brother, especially if we're going to be making it past Imple Down with the live action series. If we aren't going to make it to Marineford with the live action series, there's a little bit less pressure to really nail Ace's role. But if we're making it to Marineford, you are going to need someone who can rip the audience's heart out if you're going to do any justice to the story. Now that I think about it, Smoker, Vivi, Chopper, Ace, and, oh god, Flower Mommy in a cowboy hat, Nico Robin herself, they have got a lot of new characters to try and cast for this next season. But hopefully, if they do even half as good of a job as they did this time around, I am really going to enjoy seeing these people play out these roles. How do I... Sorry, I'm trying to get this nose right, and I need it to stay the length that it is, but I need it to squash into his face just a little bit. Sorry, where was I? So, let's break this down. If we get another 8 episodes, like we did with Season 1, then we've got an episode and a half, at least, for Logtown. Maybe we could fit Laboon and Nocturne Stream into the other half of that episode. Nonohana is going to need to be at least an episode. They're probably going to give Chopper 2 episodes like they did with Usopp. So that's 5. And then 3 for Alabasta. So it would be cutting it really close, but they could do it, and I had no arguments with the pacing during the first season, so I gotta say they have my faith that they can do a decent job with it this time. I am just worried that they're gonna cut out certain parts of it that I really, really do not want them to cut out, but looking at his jaw, I want him to have a stronger jaw. Like I said, this Mary's going to be a little bit more grizzled than he was in the anime. We can't have him going down to one little backstab, or we aren't going to make it too far. So, let's see what we can do. And also keep in mind that, I am probably going to have to go through, once we unlock the mirror, and do a little bit better of a job of this, because I could probably sit here for at least a couple of hours trying to make him just right. But I think I'm just going to have to go for the broad strokes, at least for today. Because, number one, it's hard to concentrate on ranting about One Piece while I try and make this guy at least presentable. And 2, if I tried to edit a video that was over an hour, I'm pretty sure my computer is just going to blow out its own ass again. And I really, really don't want to lose any more footage. So I am just gonna make... I'm gonna try not to make a monster, but he is starting to look a little bit scary. So I'm just gonna go for the base outline today and see where this gets us. But I think I will use the last bit of this One Piece rant not to talk about concerns of the future, but to talk about how fucking excited I was to see Crocomommy in season 1. That was crazy. I personally love that fan theory, and I subscribe to the full-on Crocomom theory. Not just that Crocodile used to be a lady, but Crocodile might be Luffy's actual mom. Now, I know that's a crazy fan theory, and I definitely wasn't the one who was smart enough to think it up, but I really like that theory. Whether it's true or not is a completely different story, but I really like it, because it explains why Crocodile stopped trying to even fight back against Luffy as soon as they knew who Luffy actually was. Because the first time they met, he was just some kid in a damn straw hat. By the time Crocodile had spent a few months in jail, I'm pretty sure they knew exactly who Luffy was, and which sea he had come stumbling out of. But it also explains how Ivan and Crocodile met, because Ivan is Dragon's right-hand man, and would probably know when someone was trying to sneak out of Dragon's room. It is probably my favorite of the fan theories. Now, which of his parents are the worst parent, whether it's Dragon or Crocomom, it's actually a trick question, because the answer is Yasopp is the worst fucking father in this whole damn series. And he has some pretty steep competition. But that man, I'll put it this way. I don't even care if Luffy finds the One Piece. But so help me God, if this show ends before Usopp gets to kick the shit out of his father, I am going to be absolutely fucking livid. I will personally pay for a plane ticket to Japan with the $0 I currently have in my checking, and riot with my bare hands, a pitchfork and torch. I don't give a shit. Usopp versus Yasopp better happen before the end of the series. I don't care about the One Piece. I don't care about the 5 Elders. I don't care about Emu. I don't care about the 3 weapons of mass destruction in the shape of people. There are 2 things I need to see from this series. It is Usopp v Yasopp, and it is Brook finally making it around the world so he can see his whale boy. I have been waiting nearly a decade and a half for this skeleton to meet a whale, and I cannot tell you how scared I am that I am not going to be able to see it. I need to calm down. My voice is starting to crack. I'm getting too excited and wound up about this. But bringing things back to the live action for just a minute, I cannot even begin to explain how fantastic it is to see that this series is in the hands of people who really give a shit about it. A lot of people will call it the live action curse, and especially after things like Cowboy Bebop and quite a few other live action attempts at anime and even video games for that matter. But at the end of the day, it's not so much a curse as it is you really need most, if not the entire team, to understand not only the original subject matter, but what it meant to the people who are fans of it. You need people who have played the games, who have grown up watching these movies and anime and cartoons or whatever you want to call them. You need people who give a shit, because the audience is always always going to be able to smell whether somebody showed up with a dream or just showed up trying to find a paycheck. And I am so glad that One Piece live action knocked it out of the fucking park and didn't just show up looking for a paycheck, but genuinely wanted to do right by these characters. Sorry about that. I kinda climbed up onto a soapbox for a little bit there, but I did try and warn you that this was going to be a rant, not so much structured as it was just me word vomiting how I felt about the situation. But I think, yeah, I'm definitely going to go with a beefy Mary. And yeah, he definitely needs some body hair. Gotta try and... I know he's nowhere close to the actual Mary, and I'll try and fix it once I get the mirror unlocked, but I think he's good enough for a rough pass. He's at least somewhat close to what Mary looks like. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is about good. Or at least as good as I'm gonna get it. Let's give him an old man voice. Yeah. Actually, I like that one. I think I'll go with that one. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to do? I think... Well, he doesn't quite look like a monster, but he doesn't quite look like Mary either. I'm definitely going to have to go back through for another pass, but I think that's about as good as I'm going to be able to get him. Let me do one last check. The golden seed. Yeah, I want the golden seed. Origin. Oh crap, I forgot to change his origin. I would have rather have gone with the seafaring one, but if I change it now, it's going to completely reset it. And even though he's far from beautiful, I think I would do an even worse job if I had to try all over again at this point. So we're just going to keep him as he is, at least until I unlock that mirror and can take a little bit more time with making him look like our sheep boy. But I think that's gonna be it for the character creation video. I want to thank each and every one of you for putting up with this sort of unhinged rant about me talking about everything and nothing when it comes to One Piece. But thank you for coming along with me. I hope each and every one of you have a wonderful day. And until I see you next time, have fun and stay safe out there.